Welcome back to our sermon, our lesson, our class, our activities on the divine marriage relationship. We're most certainly happy to be here today and to greet all of you and in the precious name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Those of you who are married, and those of you who are married who are newlyweds, and those of you who are married who have been married for a while. We want to harness one of the best relationships that God created in the world, and that's the marriage relationship. It is the best, it's the highest. You can get the most out of it than you can get any other relationship in the world. And our lessons have been coming from Ephesians chapter 5 and in verse number 25. And this is where our sermons are coming from. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. And so that's where we're going, and that's the basis of our sermons. Now, what I want to talk about also is my topic is going to be loving your mate, and then I wanted to try to describe some of the acts of love that we may do that may communicate, whereby we can communicate love. The acts of love that we can do to communicate love. I'm so happy today that I have my wife, and she's, like I said, she's about the finest thing walking on the earth. And I thank God for her, and I thank God for blessing me. He has favored me highly by giving me such a wife. And every man, your wife, God has favored you by giving you such a wife. And you try your best to open your eyes and your heart and see how wonderful that mate that you have is. All right, because you have some wonderful, wonderful ladies, wonderful wives. And we want to talk for the betterment of life here, the betterment of a man's life and the betterment of a woman's life. And I do have a little bent towards, I have a little bent towards people who are married, who've been married for a long time, maybe those who've been married 20, 30 years, or if you've been married a short period of time. I do have a little package, a little word I give to those who maybe we may call older people. All right, those older people, because I try to help them. Now, let me talk about the older people. Older people are people who are, let's say, maybe if you're 50. When I was 50, I did not feel 50. I don't feel my age today. I just don't. But anyway, but when you are young enough to experience good things in life, you're young enough to go out, run through airports, catch planes, go to the Hawaii and different places like that, or whatever, or go out and have a good time walking on a trail with your mate and do physical things, all right? Physical things, all right? When you're young enough to do physical things with your mate, then you should harness that time. You should take advantage of that time. And one of the things that I've been pushing is get in a hurry and get to it. Love that mate. Get to it. Get to her. Get to loving her. Get to loving him. Don't drag your feet. One man said, I was talking to a man, and he said, he was an older man, and I was talking to him. I was saying, I said that I was talking to him about the different things I was trying to do with my wife, and and my relationship with my grandchildren and all like that. And he said one thing. He said, life's short. Oh, and this man was like 80 years old. He said, life's short. And I took note of that. I said, wow, that is so true. So whatever it is in life you want to do, you need to be doing it. And another thing he told me, he told me, he said, at his age, he said, you don't have no desire to go on trips. He said, now that's that may not be for everybody who's 80, He said, you done been everything, you done everything. You feel like there's not a lot of adventure or excitement in saying I'm going on a trip to Kansas City or whatever to go on a trip even to Paris. It just don't have it in him. And I do remember one time we were working in our executive office when I was the general secretary of the Midwestern District Council. I was the administrator of the office, and one time Bishop James Johnson came and he sat in the office, and Bishop James Johnson, I think back then may have been, I don't know, he may have been, I don't know if he was 70 or whatever, but anyway, but he said something. He says, I'm not interested in a bunch of travel right now. He said, you go to these various cities, you see the same thing. It's nothing new. He said, I'm not all that interested in traveling. Maybe you all might be interested in travel. And but anyway, the point he was making was that you can get to a point to where you may not be as interested in doing a lot of stuff. Okay. And for those of you who are at that age, if you're married, you all still, they tell me that sometimes that's the sweetest age to be at. But even though you may not be interested in doing a lot of travel or whatever, so what I want to do is I want to focus on those of you who are younger, the younger older people who still have your ability to do things, to try to take every day and every chance you get to do pleasurable things together, relationship building things, memory building things. And and today in my lesson, we want to talk about loving your mate and acts of love. Acts of love. We're going to talk about that, acts of love. But anyway, but one of the points again I drive is I say get to it. Get to it. Whatever it is that you need to do, that you want to do for your mate, don't think about it until well someday. No, get to it. Get to it. Go to your mate. Make fun. Make fun. You might be in the grocery store. So you may just walk up to her, y'all with the produce. You may just kind of kiss her on the cheek while you're at the produce counter, picking out them fruit and stuff. And or you may just maybe riding in the car, and together you may just say, you know something, I'm highly privileged and blessed to be with one of the finest people in the whole world. And to me, the finest person in the world. Make comments like that. May just see her coming down the steps. I was at one level of the steps on the second floor, and there's some levels that come down in the house. You come down the steps, and you come down. There's a landing there, and then there's another landing. You can go down the steps before you get down to the foyer and the living room and all that kind of stuff. But she had gone down to the landing, and I was still upstairs, and I stood at the top of the steps, and I looked down at her on that first landing and just looked at her. I said, "You're incredible." And so that was just a beautiful scene, just look like that, you know what I mean? Kind of going through the day, throwing out compliments and throwing out kisses and telling the person how much you love them and appreciate them, and those kinds of things. There's nothing wrong with you in your world and in your life making your world a positive world. All hell can be breaking out all around you all. Trouble everywhere. I mean, people mistreating you, things happening, relatives in trouble. But you can always turn around and tell that person, something in the midst of all this storm, I'm so glad you're sunshine in the midst of the storm. And that's what my wife is. She's a sunshine in the midst of a storm, and God has blessed me with her, and I'm sucking it all up. I mean, I'm taking it all in. All of her brightness and all of her sweetness and all of her care, I'm taking it in because I feel this way. I feel like got my health and strength. I think I'm relatively young as far as I can outrun a lot of you young guys. I can outrun you, and I'm more healthier than a lot of you guys. You know what I mean? So don't make too much fun of me. Don't call me an old man too quick. And I'm not. God has said I'm not through yet, and I can do it. I can, I can praise God, and I can dance in the church. I can do like a lot of you young guys, because a lot of times you don't take care of yourself. And so while I can, and while I have my health and my strength, I checked my blood pressure the other day. It was 117 over 20. It was 117 over 20 or something like that. It may have been, something like that. Anyway, but the thing about it is that while we have our health, those of you who have reasonable health and a reasonable ability, even if it's only your mind, you may be confined to a chair or whatever, but if you have the mind and the heart and the will, you can show acts of love to your mate that you can thrill her, or you can thrill him, you can thrill each other, and that's so precious. And this thing called life don't last long enough for me to waste any of it. And the older you get, the less time you have to waste. One thing I really want to see it as a result from these classes and these lessons and these experiments is that I see an increasing number of older people or middle-aged people or marriage couples giving compliments to one another, loving one another, and really enjoying their marriage, taking advantage of the time, taking advantage of the situation. And if I can see that, and since we've been doing this, I've been seeing a lot of ministers beefing up their game, coming up to it, and telling their wives, dancing with them, and come on, let's go now. And I'm sorry, we're supposed to be in church now. I know you said, somebody said they don't know nobody, baby. What's wrong with dancing? Well, years ago when I was coming up as a teenager, you didn't dance in church. The minister wouldn't dance, So I wouldn't want to be. And they got a whole lot of others out there that don't believe in that. They don't believe in dancing. But I'm not talking about sinful dancing. I'm talking about dancing with your mate. And some of you all starchy in church. You need to go somewhere and dance with somebody. You get a smile on your face. Sometimes these people be treating their wives. They need to go in a room and be made to dance. Almost get somebody get a gun and just shoot their feet at their feet. Boom, dance with that woman. Boom. Yeah, they need to do that. So you need to loosen up. Stop that. And so we're going to try. And I recommend that you show acts of love and do activities together while you can. Y'all might need to go out and get your board games. You may have a mate that can't leave the house. Maybe they got a situation where they can't leave. Maybe can't run up a mountain. But maybe they can play a board game. Or maybe just you sing to them. You tell them how much you love them. You know what I mean? You could do those kind of things, Get a board game. You haven't played board games in years? That's what I want to do. I want to play board games with my wife. I really do. My wife and I are still working a lot. Working in the ministry and working in the business, working with the Bible college and working. So I want to find a time when we're not working as much. And every time I see her, I say, I can't wait for our next date. I can't wait for our next trip. And then we go on because we enjoy being on those trips. Oh! We be out there, and then we come home. One time we was on a trip. We were in Detroit, and we had an offer to leave Detroit and go to New York. And I came home because of some business here. It wasn't worth it at all. When I look at it, it wasn't worth it at all. We should have went on up to New York. Sometimes the stuff that you're holding back your fun times on is not worth it at all. Life is not, tomorrow is not promised to us. So, I'm going to tell you something today. Hurry up and love her. Hurry up and love her. Get to it. All those things, those people you're worried with on that job and in your business, and all those people ain't going to be around. when you are sitting there on your last breath and you're saying you wish you had done this, they're not going to be nowhere around. Even your children, your grandchildren, or whatever you got, don't let the grandchildren and your children stop you from loving one another, because those grandchildren, they're going to grow up and they're going to get their own, and you're going to find that out. You stop your life for your children or your grandchildren, or whatever, or your parents, and you hold back, because it'd be good to everybody, but everybody, hardly nobody deserves what your mate deserves. And so make sure that you show acts of love and kindness. Now, in that, I want to say that I've decided to love my wife. My last lesson, we were talking about cognitive, intentional love, in spite of any good feelings or good thoughts or emotional or sexual drive or anything of that nature. An intent to love, whether or not she's dressed up or whether or not she has a cap on or a towel on cleaning a stove. No matter where it is or whatever, no matter how she presents herself, you love her soul. But one thing I've been trying to do good things, and trying to, here recently, trying to do good things and and some of you probably way far down the road from me, on this, but it's okay to do this. And try to show signs of love, and the way we show love is by learning our mate's love language. What is love to them? What do they value? And so that would be a good lesson to talk about, is what is the love language? How do I communicate love? And so what I've been trying to do, I bought her flowers. And it wasn't no Mother's Day either, and there was no special time. I bought flowers, told her how much I loved her. I know I bought her a pair of sandals and a purse to match it. I bought her that. She needed some sneakers, we call them tennis shoes in St. Louis, but in New York they call them sneakers. And I bought her some Nikes. I bought these. I bought them the right size, and she really liked it. She was flattered about it. I bought us 2 hats, matching hats. I said, so the next time we go out, we go on a trip, we're going to have matching hats on, caps. So I bought her quite a few things, that I wanted her to have. And these are just signs of love, just me wanting to buy her things and present things to her. It was my intent, and I bought her a new washing machine. It was probably one of the most expensive ones that she's ever had. I'm just trying to make her life, and I said I don't want anything cheap, because I don't want anything. And there's things that I'm doing and things that I'm ordering. I know people say you just can't just buy them things, but I'm buying her things and I'm taking her places and I'm telling her that I love her, and she has she bought things for me. She bought me some very nice clothes. She bought me some suits from Paris and Italy, and this is recently. She always doing things for me, and that's not just all of it. You know what I mean? Then we go on these trips together. That's not all that there is to it. What I'm trying to say is that, and I'm trying to suggest that for some of us, we need to show love by doing things for one another. By doing things for one another, and do this for your hubby. She made some turnips, and I'm not, even though I like that, I'm not talking about turnips and ham hocks. I'm talking about turnips that she actually made because she knew I was trying to get 7 vegetables a day. I do eat 7 vegetables a day, and I try to eat roots and things like that. But she went out and got these turnips knowing that. And she cut these turnips up and cooked these turnips. Man, them turnips were good. I didn't know turnips could cook that fast. But anyway, she had turnips and she put greens down in them. You know, there's no grease in them. But man, somebody please bring me a hammer. But anyway, but she did those things. You know, the turnips, and then she actually put beets. She knows that I like to get a supply of beets in a blender. And she made beet juice, and I would be drinking pure beet juice. And then she did the same thing with celery, and I would be drinking pure celery juice. She's down there laboring and bringing this to me in the morning, and I'm happy about it. Not that I would drive past a good restaurant on the highway looking for a restaurant to serve beet juice or celery juice. No, but because those things are healthy for me. She knew that I was trying to do 7 vegetables a day, and so that's when she would do that. And the thing about it is, and sometimes I see her working so hard at doing things. I said, no. But you know, I found that one of her greatest joys is doing stuff for others, doing things for me, even though it seemed like me a lot of work. And you don't have to go through all that, honey. No. She bought me suits from Italy, suits and things. She just got a joy out of doing it. She just got a joy out of it, and she's just a wonderful person. So, but anyway, one thing I do want to say to us today is let us redeem the times. Let's redeem the times, showing acts of love and showing acts of favor and commitment, and let us recognize that, especially in the case of my wife and a lot of you, that your mates have gained enough seniority for you to love them through anything, and for you to commit yourself to them for the rest of your life. I'm committed to my wife for the rest of my life. And she's just a jewel and a pearl. Every time she comes in, and every time we're together at home or even in public, when her foot comes in the house, everything is all right. You know, every time she's here, and every time we're here together at home, my life is complete with her. And I kind of feel like, you know, my life would be shattered without her. And I just, she is just the culmination of a life of love, a culmination of the life of right now, the highest point of a life of love and a marriage of 36 years. It seemed like yesterday, and it is probably one of the best things that has ever happened to me, is that my life with my wife. And it is one of the, in other words, you find sometimes in life. I remember a lady used to say a prayer. Her name was Mother Salisbury, I think it was. She says, I prayed to God to let my last days be my best days. And so this is the case, where my life is best now because of my wife. My wife has made my life a delight, and I am enjoying her. I'm enjoying courting her, enjoying being with her. The other day we were in we went by Targets to pick up some earphones and things like that. So because we were going to go and work out, and so we wanted to, you know, let's get some earphones. And I was standing there in Targets. In fact, we walked down one of the aisles in Targets. We were holding hands and all like that. And then we got up around the checkout counter, and I told her, I said, you know something? Why can't we be together like this all the time? And she said, we will be. In other words, sometimes we get so busy. I just wish we can get to the point where we're more retired and to where maybe I'm doing it a little too much. Talking about being in their face 24/7, maybe that's a little too much. But I mean, I can do it. I believe I can hang. I mean, I'm ready to pack the bags. Let's hit the road. Let's go and just be away and go stay 1 week, stay another week, and just be away. You know what I mean? And just go to Niagara Falls, then go over from there to Canada and come back down, go catch a plane, go to Italy, go down, and just enjoy ourselves. So, show signs of love and make the best of your life, and make the rest of your life the best of your life by loving your mate. God bless you and keep you in Jesus' name is my prayer, and I pray that all of you will be blessed and happy in the Lord and with your mates. And I hope that you will tune up your marriage relationship and that you'll come out happier than us. I want you to be happy, all right? It's going to take somebody to be happier than us. But God bless you. We love all of you, and we pray for the best for all. God bless you.